With the 11th pick in the NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders select Malik Willis, quarterback, Liberty. The big debate going on right now is who the Washington Commanders will take with the 11th pick. The two options, Malik Willis and Matt Corral. While right now Matt Corral seems to be the consensus choice for the 11th pick, I believe that Malik Willis will overtake him. While Malik Willis does not have the career stats that Matt Corral has, having 5,176 yards, 48 touchdowns, 18 interceptions on a 62.8 completion percentage during his time at Liberty, I believe that Willis has the highest upside out of all three quarterbacks that could be taken in the first round. Let's face it, Taylor Heinicke did not cut it at quarterback for the Washington football team this past season, and Malik Willis could be a good prospect moving forward. While he'll most likely start off as a raw talent, he possesses a big arm that, put under the right circumstances, could thrive in the modern NFL. With pieces around him such as Antonio Gibson, Terry McLaurin, and Curtis Samuel, Malik Willis will be behind a great offensive line and some great offensive weapons that could help him grow into a great starting quarterback for years to come in Washington. With the 12th pick in the NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Ahmad Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati. Ahmad Gardner is coming out of college at Cincinnati, having career totals of 99 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 9 interceptions, and 2 touchdown returns after interception. The Minnesota Vikings had a up and down year, to say the least, this past season. Kirk Cousins had a very productive season, but it went nowhere. Justin Jefferson is a star on the offensive line, but again, his efforts went nowhere as well. A large part of this has to do with the anemic secondary that the Minnesota Vikings had. Cameron Dantzler and Patrick Peterson combined for only 2 interceptions all year, and with Patrick Peterson getting older, Dantzler would pair nicely alongside Gardner and give them a dynamic cornerback duo for years to come. With the 13th pick in the NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select David Ogebo, defensive end, Michigan. Ogebo comes out of Michigan with career stats of 36 tackles, 5 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. While that's not super impressive compared to other players on this list, it's important to note that he alternated between edge rusher and linebacker while in college. The Cleveland Browns season was overall a big disappointment in 2021, but the defense was a lone bright spot, led by Myles Garrett. With Jadeveon Clowney becoming a free agent this year, Ogebo can pair nicely with Myles Garrett on the line and fill the hole that Jadeveon Clowney will likely leave in free agency and allow the Browns to sign another player with the cap they would probably spend signing Clowney. Offensive lineman, Texas A&M. Green comes into the NFL Draft having played with one of the best offensive lines in all of college football, as well as having experience playing at almost every single position along the offensive line. This would be a great asset for the Baltimore Ravens, considering their offensive line was very disappointing this past season. Alejandro Villanueva, for example, allowed 9 sacks, which was the second most in the entire NFL. Adding Kenyon Green to this line could add some additional protection for Lamar Jackson and ensure that the Baltimore Ravens can make it back to the playoffs in the upcoming season. With the 15th pick in the NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Nacobi Dean, linebacker, Georgia. This is one of 3 first-round picks that the Philadelphia Eagles currently have, so they have a lot of versatility in terms of who they can select with the first of these 3 picks. I believe they'll go with the best player on the board, which is Nacobi Dean. Dean had career totals at Georgia of 168 tackles, 7.5 sacks, 2 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles. The Philadelphia Eagles linebacking core was subpar. TJ Edwards had a great year, but both Alex Singleton and Jannard Avery were disappointing. Dean and Edwards could create a solid linebacker duo for the Eagles and help the Philadelphia Eagles defense for years to come. With the 16th pick in the NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Drake London, wide receiver, USC. While at USC, London had career stats of 2,153 yards, 15 touchdowns on 13.5 average yards per catch. London is 6'5", which makes him a tall wide receiver and a great red zone option, sort of in the same mold as Mike Evans. This would give Jalen Hurts another great offensive weapon alongside Devontae Smith and would help bolster an already great Philadelphia Eagles offense. With the 17th pick in the NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Trevor Penning, offensive tackle, Northern Iowa. Penning only allowed a total of 6 sacks and 6 quarterback hits during his time at Northern Iowa and is a large offensive tackle. He could be a nice replacement for Michael Schofield on the offensive line and will provide Justin Herbert additional protection. Justin Herbert has proven that he is the future of the LA Chargers, and Penning would be a draft pick made in order to ensure that Herbert can remain a top option at the quarterback spot in Los Angeles for years to come. With the 18th pick in the NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah. Devin Lloyd comes out of Utah with career stats of 256 tackles, 15.5 sacks, 5 interceptions, and 2 forced fumbles. The New Orleans Saints are in a very odd place right now. Sean Payton, their head coach, has left. They have a few options at quarterback with no clear answer, and they are in major cap trouble. Kawan Alexander, one of their top linebacking options, is now a free agent, and Devin Lloyd can come in and immediately fill that role and be a great, solid linebacker for the next 4 to 5 years, assuming they don't let him walk in free agency. With the 19th pick in the NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Tyler Linderbaum, offensive center, Iowa. Linderbaum only allowed 2 sacks, 6 hits, and 11 quarterback hurries for his entire career while at Iowa. The Philadelphia Eagles currently have an Hall of Fame center in Jason Kelce. However, he is getting older and will most likely retire within the next 2 seasons. Considering this upcoming season could be his last, this will allow Linderbaum to learn from one of the best to ever do it, and he could take over as soon as Kelce retires and serve as the next Philadelphia Eagles center for years to come. With the 20th pick in the NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select DeMarvin Leal, defensive line, Texas A&M. Leal comes out of Texas A&M with career stats of 133 tackles, 13 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. Outside of Cameron Hayward and Chris Wormley, the defensive line for the Steelers was extremely disappointing this past season. While many believe that the Steelers will probably focus on getting a quarterback with this pick, I don't think that will end up being the case, and I think they will most likely seek to find their next play caller within free agency or through a trade. Leal will make the defense stronger on the defensive line and can hopefully continue to bolster the already impressive Pittsburgh Steelers defense.